before I jump into Tom and Jerry, I just want to, for people that have never seen Shadow in the Cloud, I think I just want to give a shout out to that film and how good you were in it. And I think people should make an effort to see it.
Thank you very much. I feel I did Shadow in the Cloud right before Tom and Jerry, which are probably the most polar opposite films you could ever do back to back.
100%. One of the things I think that's with Tom and Jerry is that it's everything had to be storyboarded and figured out, when you're on set, and it's very exact. I'm just curious, how many takes were ruined because you moved 1 inch past your mark?
We were kind of lucky. There was exact measurements and movements, and the biggest thing was really eye line. But outside of that, the animators were always on set, so they would immediately run in after a take if I had done anything or anything like that where we would have to change a certain thing. But there was more freedom than I expected going into it. And really the answer was, the further I went and the bigger I went with their kind of responses, their miming in my mind with that improv, they could animate further. So they kind of wanted me to push that boundary, but at the same time, give me my ramifications of distance.
Did you have new respect for what Zemeckis pulled off on Roger Rabbit after making this film?
Oh, of course. I mean, Roger Rabbit was one of my favorite films growing up. And, Bob Hoskins, I've read his interviews after the fact and how he said he went a little bit crazy after that movie, after having talked to himself for so many months on end. And I kind of, I don't disagree with him. I did feel a little nuts by the end of it, but it is such an enlivening, wild experience. And it is such a brain teaser. I worked so intimately with Tim Story on this to really make it work and to figure out what we needed, how to do it. And, my first questions were all those things that I just stated to him. And he, his answer was like, honestly, I don't know. And that's the excitement of this project, which is we got to kind of go in there and figure out what the hell we're going to do. So that was a fun and scary and exciting experience.
Michael Peña always makes me laugh. And I would imagine working with him there had to have been a lot of laughter working with him. I'm just curious, how many takes was he purposely trying to make you break?
I mean, half the time we would both look at each other and be like, what are we doing? Because we would just be upping the ante on each other, and he'd be going bigger and I'd be going bigger and then he'd be going bigger. And then he's like, grabbing at my jacket in that scene with the mouse in my pocket. And, we would just look at each other and be like, what are we filming? So we had a lot of fun teasing each other and going down that path.
Watching Tom and Jerry cartoons as an adult, and even this movie, you're kind of blown away by the level of violence they inflict on each other. And it's very rare to it's pretty crazy. Can you sort of talk about that they literally do everything they can to each other? The violence is pretty crazy.
It is pretty wild. I mean, I do really appreciate that, they really stuck by the original cartoon and they didn't change much of that from the 81 years of this cartoon running. And I thought that was really something to be said, that they kind of went the extra mile with all the crazy hijinks of dropping hammers on each other's heads and, spiky baseball bats and all the crazy things that really ensue on screen. So it is pretty wild and it is pretty jarring, but it's the classic characters that we love so much. And I think if they hadn't had done that, I think we would have been more upset than not,
Completely. I already got to go. I'm just going to say congrats. I wish you nothing but the best and good luck with your speed dating.
Thank you so much. That is totally speed dating. See you later.